Upstairs, Downstairs, Episode 8, Production Number 1509, Recording Date 26/9/72, Take 1.
Over there now.
Oh, Hodson.
Yes, sir?
Get some champagne, will you? The, special reserve.
Very good, sir.
Oh! Mrs. Carebridge has had a daughter.
Oh, really, sir? That's very nice, sir.
Yes, a daughter. Well,
I still wish she hadn't chosen to have it in that dreadful nursing home.
well, you know Elizabeth and her fashionable, unfashionable ideas.
So much more agreeable at home. What's so wrong with having it at home?
Because everybody does, my dear.
Nursing homes are so antiseptic and impersonal.
Avant-garde. Have you seen a small notebook?
Thank heavens it was an easy birth. I shudder to think what a lot of perfect strangers would have done if there had been any complications.
Dear, the perfect strangers are people trained to cope with such exigencies. A little black notebook. I'd written a draft notice for the Times.
It's not the same thing at all. Anyway, it's a lovely little baby.
Yes. Glad it wasn't a boy.
Why?
Different responsibility, oh, very different. Now, there are complications.
Perhaps.
Schools, careers, much more public altogether.
When girls can be hidden away, forgotten.
Well, they are easier to handle. Ah! Yes, girls are better.
It's a little baby girl.
And that's all?
That is the information that was imparted to me, yes.
Isn't that just like a man? Doesn't know what the baby's weight is, nor nothing.
No, but her mother was all right, just as important. Didn't you even hear if Miss Elizabeth was all right?
No, Sarah. Mr. Bellamy simply said, kindly fetch some special reserve, Hodson. It's a little baby girl.
Oh, men!
Honestly.
Can't we have some champagne, Mr. Hudson? I mean, we should wet the baby's head as well.
Quite right, Edward.
Fetch the special reserve.
I think a drop of beer might be in order. A drop, Edward. Oh, and while I remember it, you can fetch that perambulator down from the front hall and put it out in the area before somebody falls over it.
Yes, Mr. Hudson.
And Edward,
Yes, Mr. Hudson.
you may bring a quart of beer.
Oh, yes, Mr. Hudson.
After all, yes, it is a bit of an occasion.
A bit of an occasion. Oh,
But it was more than a bit of an occasion when you arrived, Mr. Hudson.
we're only born once, you know, Mr. Hudson.
I don't recall much of it myself, Mrs. Bridges. I was very young at the time.
Oh, Mr. Hudson. Yes, oh,
Here we are then, the very best reserve, mild and bitter.
So we can drink Miss Elizabeth's health and,
And? We don't even know her name.
Lucy Elizabeth. The full name? I think just Lucy.
Read it out again.
Curbridge on the 17th inst. At the Hallam Nursing Home to Elizabeth, the wife of Lawrence Arthur Curbridge, her daughter Lucy.
I think you're right. Yes, that is better. Ah, Hudson, thank you.
Well, now I am not so sure. A daughter, Lucy Elizabeth.
Oh, Richard.
But it's awfully important to get these things right. Let's ask Hudson. Hudson, Lucy Elizabeth or just plain Lucy?
Oh, they're both very pretty names, sir, for a little girl.
Yes, absolutely. But I think just plain unvarnished Lucy is best for this occasion.
I trust you'll be neither plain nor unvarnished as a young lady, sir.
That's very good, Hudson.
Very good, Hudson. Well, that'll be all right.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, Hudson.
Yes, my lady?
Nanny Webster will be arriving on Friday. It doesn't give you much notice, I'm afraid, but we thought she ought to settle in before Mrs. Curbridge comes home with the baby. You all know each other. It won't be like a new nanny coming. She met Sarah, too, down at Southwold, so... Something troubling you, Hudson?
Oh, no, my lady. It's just that I thought perhaps Nanny Webster had retired.
You mean you hoped she had?
I beg your pardon, sir?
Nothing will keep old Nanny from an addition to the family.
No, my lady.
Friday, then. Perhaps you'd tell the other servants.
Very good, my lady.
Have a bottle of champagne downstairs
Oh, thank you very much, sir.
to welcome the baby.
Sir?
And Nanny Webster.
Yes, sir.
I can feel the house beginning to shake already.
I'm glad it was a little girl. 'Cause the clothes. You can really dress a little girl.
most women want boys, I can tell you that, my girl. Most women wouldn't say thank you for a girl not first go off.
Well, in the circumstances, it's probably just as well.
Well, I like girls. Sugar and spice and all things nice. Eh, Miss Roberts?
Well, she's hardly chosen the most convenient time. With Rose away, one has hardly time to turn round.
Well, you don't have to worry about turning round, Miss Roberts. There's no one after you.
I think there ought to be more babies born into this household. I could do with a drop of that every day. Keep me going.
Wouldn't mind if there was one born every minute. I'd look after 'em all. I'd be the best nursery nurse in the whole world.
Maid, Sarah, nursery maid. That's what you're trained as.
Not a nurse, Sarah. That's medical.
And you're a domestic.
I must write and tell Rose. Tell her all about it. She'd be furious she was away, missing everything like that. Oh, I wouldn't have to look after that little baby.
I'm sure you'll be an excellent nursery maid, Sarah.
Miss Elizabeth wouldn't have to be proud.
And doubtless you'll be of great help to the nanny.
There ain't gonna be no nanny.
No.
Miss Elizabeth never made no mention of no nanny.
Are you kept especially informed of every move?
Well, what was all that training for if it wasn't for looking after babies?
For helping, Sarah. Nursemaids are there to help them.
No mention was made.
Well, you obviously know best.
Yes. Anyway, I've got something to do, if you'll excuse me.
As if a family like this would do without a nanny.
I wonder who the baby's like. Like her mother, I'll be bound.
Like a little monkey.
Oh, Edward.
Really, Edward?
Well, it's only a baby.
You would never want one yourself, I suppose.
Well, you're like a couple of old chickens.
No doubt he was born like that.
Oh, well, I've got too much work to do. I can't keep on all this to-ing and through-ing and...
To-ing and fro-ing. I can see we're going to have some of your tiddly cakes, Mrs. V.
That's enough of your cheek. Oh! Oh!
Whatever do you think?
Yes. Well, what do you think of this then?
Blimey.
Blimey's right. What's all that, my girl?
This is my official uniform. That's what all that is. My official nursemaid's uniform.
My official nursemaid's uniform.
Well, you won't be needing it yet a while,
Not
so
be needing it.
go and
My
take
official
it
duty
off.
stuff. From the day the baby's
Go
born.
and take it
Got to get
home.
upstairs and get all that nursery.
Miss Elizabeth will not be home for at least another week.
We're short-handed as it is, so go and take it off.
Mrs. Bridges, I would remind you that I am...
There is work to be done in the linen room.
I would remind you, Mrs. Bridges, that I am no longer employed in a capacity of linen room
Yes,
help.
and gracious, really, some people.
As Miss Elizabeth's direct help in the nursery.
Poppycock. A nursery maid's just as much as a servant as any of
Well,
them.
that's not what they said when they trained
Well,
me.
I haven't got time to sit here arguing with you. I've got something better to do.
Miss Elizabeth will not be home for at least another week.
In my official uniform.
Oh, Edward, no, spend all that time
All
on.
Ladies,
Really?
just before you return to your prospective duties, the master has decided...
To chop off our heads.
That's quite enough, Edward. Some strong tea for you, I think. No, the master has permitted us a bottle of champagne to wet the new baby's head.
That's very nice.
Furthermore, a new member of the staff is about to join us. Fetch some glasses, Edward. Well, not quite a new member, in fact. Someone who is, in fact, familiar to most of us. Nanny.
I had to ring twice. I hope this is not a symptom of domestic disorder.
Certainly not, Nanny. You merely anticipated me.
I had to ring for you twice. I see you've taken to wearing spectacles, Hodson. Well, of course, you're getting on now.
I only need them for close walk, Nanny.
Really? These small London houses. I hope everything is in order, Hodson. For instance, while I was waiting for you to answer the door, I had time to notice the baby's perambulator in the area. Now, that hardly seems the place for it. It'll rust in wet weather. Kindly see that it's brought up and kept in here in the front hall in future.
I shall see to it at once.
Yes, I see I shall have my work cut out, as usual. Well, may we not proceed? It's disconcerting enough to be kept waiting interminably outside.
Her ladyship will receive you in the morning room, Nanny. Nanny Webster, my lady.
Thank you, Hudson. Send Sarah up to me, will you?
Very good, my lady.
Fancy leaving a perambulator in the area.
Edward,
Yes, Mr. Hudson?
the area is hardly the most suitable place for the perambulator.
But, Mr. Hudson, you
Why don't you bring it up here into the front hall?
But, Mr. Hudson, you
At once, Edward.
You may find Sarah somewhat high-spirited at first. Do sit down, Nanny.
Thank you, my lady.
You remember her, of course, from Southwold. I'm afraid she was rather, well, unfortunate.
Unfortunate, yes, my lady. Have you got your corsets off?
Nanny. Well, whatever she was or might have been, she's very keen on helping to bring up the baby. I think you'll find her enthusiasm quite touching.
Well, I don't want to concern myself with her feelings. I merely wish for somebody to help with the menial tasks around a nursery. You know, it can't be good for you to be without your corsets.
No, but it's much more comfortable. Ah, Sarah, come in.
You wanted me, my lady?
You remember Nanny Webster, of course, from Southwold.
Oh, yes, my lady.
You take your time. Absurd. Quite absurd. Absurd. I suppose this was perpetrated by one of those fashionable modern decorators. Quite unsuitable.
This is a night nursery.
Well, I know. What are these?
They're feeding bottles.
Feeding bottles? But we shan't be needing those for months. Put them away.
Oh, yes, we will. Miss Elizabeth's bottle feeding the baby.
Is she indeed?
Yes, Nanny.
I shall have words with Madam when she returns. A baby should always be fed by mother. I suppose you approve of these fashionable modern notions. Well, go down and fetch up the nursery lunch.
But the baby's not even home yet. She'll have her dinner down here with us.
I tried to tell her that, Mrs. Bridges, but she won't budge, honest.
Who does she blooming well think she is? Who? Duchess of Southwold or
She says
something?
from now on she's to have all her meals in the nursery.
Oh, Or she can think again.
And she says you're to cut all the fat off her meat.
What? If she imagines I've got nothing better
what's
to
all
do
the trouble,
than
Mrs.
sit
Bridges?
around cutting the blooming fat off her meat.
She won't have her meals down here with us.
She must be
She's
mad.
ever so determined. I said to her, I said, look here, you know, we're short.
Lady Muck is too grand to have her dinner down here with us. She hasn't changed.
Perhaps for today, Sailor, just for today, since Nanny's just arrived.
Yes, I expect everything will be all right when Mrs. Curbridge gets back.
Welcome home, Mrs. Curbridge.
Thank you, Hudson. I must say it's nice to be home. Edward, will you take my case up for me?
Yes, madam.
Another peek, madam. Isn't she lovely?
That's what everyone keeps saying.
She got a lot of hair. I never realised she had so much hair. She's ever so like you, madam.
Rubbish. They all look like the late Queen babies. Where's my mother, Hudson?
Oh, her ladyship is out, madam. We weren't expecting you till tea time.
Oh, I couldn't stand that place another moment. There you are, Sarah. There's your charge. I'm dying for a glass of sherry. Will you take her up to Nanny for me?
How then? It's your little lammykins, eh? It's your little lammykins, Mr. Hudson.
Oh, very nice. Hello, baby. Oh, she has got a lot of hair, hasn't she? I had none at all when I was born, so I believe.
Come on now. You go upstairs.
Give me that child.
It's all right, Nanny.
Give me that child. I've been waiting, my girl, waiting for
I was
you.
just talking to Miss Elizabeth.
It's not your place. A girl the likes of you.
My little Lucy, you're holding her ever so tight.
And don't be familiar with Baby. She is Baby to you at all times. You're no place to be familiar with Baby. You're to have nothing to do with her upbringing at all. Do you understand? Nothing at all.
Last, here they are.
Priscilla, dear. And Harriet. I'm so sorry we've kept you waiting.
Well, being conscientious godparents, we were a little early, weren't we, Harriet?
Morning, Priscilla. Harriet.
A telegram arrived just as we were leaving. I'm afraid my father's had another stroke.
Oh, dear.
I'll have to go back to Southwold again tomorrow. Has the vicar not arrived yet?
Well, we haven't seen anyone so far. Should we go in, do you think?
No, we were to meet outside.
What do you think of your godchild, Priscilla?
Delightful. Does she bite? Elizabeth looks frightfully well, doesn't she?
Lawrence, there was really no need for you to come.
Just for the sake of appearances, that's all. We must do things correctly.
What about afterwards at Eaton Place? There'll be champagne.
I shan't let you down. Good morning.
Lady Marjorie, forgive my tardy appearance. A parish meeting delayed me.
Are we all gathered?
Yes, I think we are.
If we could start, Vicar, I have to be back at Westminster by noon.
Ah, yes, of course. Affairs of state, what? Well, come on in, everybody, and we will baptize this child without further delay.
Oh, Lord, I do so hope I don't have to hold the infant. I'm always so terrified its head's going to drop off or something ghastly.
Terence. Baby. Splendid. Need the baby. And you'll be the father.
I'll be the father.
No doubt about that.
No doubt at all.
Hath this child been already baptized, or no?
No.
Dearly beloved, forasmuch as all men are conceived and born in sin, and that our Saviour Christ saith, none can enter into the kingdom of God except he be regenerate and born anew of water and of the Holy Ghost. I beseech you to call upon God the Father through our Lord Jesus Christ, that of his bounteous mercy he will grant to this child that thing which by nature she cannot have, that she may be baptized with water and the Holy Ghost, and received into Christ's holy church, and be made a lively member of the same.
Here, Nanny, I'll do that. You don't want Mrs. Bridges' best gammon and parsley getting cold, do you?
What I want and don't want is a matter for myself and myself alone.
Oh, Mrs. Bridges says you was extra partial to
Mrs. Bridges can hold her tongue about my partialities.
Yes, Nanny.
Hold the corners, girl. Don't just stumble them under the mattress as if they was old handkerchiefs.
No, Nanny.
Now, be careful with those robes, girl. They have to go back to Southwold. Priceless things, those robes. That is not a dress for baby's afternoon walk. I suppose you want to make everybody in Eton Place think we've gone down in the world. If you think we can tolerate ironing like that in the nursery, you are making a big mistake.
I spent half an hour on that yesterday.
And I can only say I am sorry that you have wasted half an hour.
I'll iron it again.
You will wash it again, that's what you'll do. And you'll starch it and iron it and go for it to nursery standards.
Yes, Nanny.
And next time, you will remember that it is silk for the afternoon.
But, Nanny, yesterday...
Now, don't be impertinent. Giving back answers. You're very lucky if you're even allowed in a nursery. A girl like you. Oh. I can't eat this. It's cold. I will not eat cold food. I suppose I shall have to content myself with the custard as usual. We seem to live on nothing but custard these days. Oh. I will attend to baby. We've told you, we do not wish you to handle baby at any time. You're here to assist, not to handle.
I was only going to rock her.
Don't answer back. And what are you doing with those? They should be airing.
I was going to air
Things should always be aired before putting them on the child. There, come on, come down. There's Nanny's girl. There. That's it. Well, pass me that bottle, wherever it is. You clumsy, stupid girl. Can't you do anything right?
Nanny,
it was you! Now listen to me, my girl. One more instance of your impertinence, one more instance of your appalling, slovenly ways, and I'll have you dismissed. Nursery maid, indeed. It's quite clear to me that you're more suited to the scullery than to the nursery. You should be washing dishes and scrubbing floors. Just don't let me ever see you handling this baby when my back is turned. Not ever, do you understand?
But Lady Marge...
Not ever. There's a good girl.
What is it?
Madam?
Yes, Sarah, what do you want?
Well, madam...
I haven't much time, Sarah. I do hope it's nothing important.
Well, it is a bit urgent, madam.
You haven't chosen the best of moments, have you? Oh, this wretched hair of mine.
It's just that I think you ought to know what's going on, if you see what I mean.
No, I don't see what you mean. Oh, I do miss Rose.
Yes, madam. Well, you see, it's about Nanny. Well, that is me and Nanny, really.
Oh, dear, the very first evening I'm asked out and there has to be some little drama. I don't actually want to be bothered with it now, Sarah.
I don't want to bother you, madam. It's not that at all. It's about the baby.
My measurements have gone back to precisely what they were. What do you think of that, Sarah? Normally takes 1 month to recover one's figure after having babies.
Yes, madam. But getting back to Nanny, it's not just that she's old. I mean, there's nothing wrong in being just old, but she don't seem to be able to manage proper, as you would wish.
My gloves.
You see, madam, I don't think she's suitable to look after a baby. Not a little baby, really, she isn't.
And are you suitable to tell me? Really, Sarah, who could be more suitable to look after a baby than Nanny? You're talking nonsense.
I'm not, madam. I've seen her do things.
Nanny Webster has been in this family since my mother was born. She brought me up, she brought up my brother, she brought all of us up. And if that doesn't make her suitable...
I'm just afraid she'll do something foolish.
I hardly think she's the sort of person to do something foolish. Now, would you get me my wrap? And if you think that perhaps you are more suitable than my wrap. I should have thought you would have been able to cope.
I didn't know I'd have to cope with Nanny.
I need a new dress. I need lots of new dresses.
Look, perhaps if you had a word with her, madam.
Sarah, the very reason for Nanny Webster being here is so that I do not have to keep going to have a word with her.
It is your baby!
My bag.
You haven't hardly seen her since you come home.
Pass me my bag.
Not proper.
Sarah.
You don't really care about her, do you?
Stupid, impudent girl, get out of here.
Yes, madam.
My first evening out and you have to come sneaking in here to me with your wretched servant's tittle-tattle. You may go. Oh, my wretched hair.
Delicious. Very good. Thank you, Mrs. Bridges.
I don't know how I manage all this to-ing and fro-ing.
Throwing and toing.
Meals in odd places, special orders, then half of it's left. As if my work wasn't hard enough.
You manage because you're a saint, Mrs. Bridges.
Did you see that blackberry and apple last night? Came back down untouched. Might just as well have been moulded.
Oh, it's a very nice pie, Mrs. Bridges. One of your best.
Absolutely, Mr. Hodson. Pardon?
Oh, here comes the bearer of good tidings.
Downstairs, I'll get fat legs.
What's the damage tonight then, Sarah? What's the news from the battlefront?
She don't like gravy with a lot of fat in it, Mrs. Bridges.
What?
And in future, she'd like a separate gravy made special. In a little jug.
Oh. She would she? We'll soon see about that.
Where are you going, Mrs. Bridges?
To see Nanny about her special gravy.
Now, Mrs. Bridges...
We'll soon see about that.
Mrs. Bridges, I would much rather you did...
It has nothing to do with you, Mr. Hudson. Can't expect you to begin to understand how a cook feels when she's been insulted. Fatty gravy, indeed.
No, I'm quite sure I cannot possibly imagine the pain you are feeling, Mrs. Bridges.
When she left all that beautiful gammon and parsley the other day.
It is just a question of dignity.
Yes. And my dignity has been hurt, Mr. Hudson, I can tell you. Nothing hurts a cook's dignity more than chance remarks about a gravy.
No, we all know what an excellent cook you are, Mrs. Bridges, and we all appreciate it. But if Nanny Webster chooses to fiddle about with her good food, that then is Nanny Webster's loss, not yours. We don't want her to think that she's getting the better of you.
Oh, well, if you put it like that...
Let her stew in her own juice, eh, Mrs. Bridges, not yours.
That is a general idea, Edward, yes.
Perhaps you're right. Yes.
Good.
But I'm having no more special orders.
You lot. Honestly, All you lot care about is whether Nanny wants the fat cut off her meat or whether she likes your stupid blackberry and apple tart.
Such eloquence.
And whether she's a fit and proper person to look after a little baby.
Well, we thought that was your concern, Sarah, your private territory.
For all you lot care, she could be standing it on its head and feeding it neat gin, for all you lot care.
Of course, we all know how much you do, Sarah, how much you care.
Yes, you do, Miss Roberts.
Sarah, I've just been discussing the matter of one's dignity. And Mrs. Bridges, being a woman of sufficient experience, understood what I was talking about. It does not enhance us as servants to lose our dignity, and I would remind you, Sarah, of that fact. And I'm surprised I even need mention it to you, Miss Roberts. Now, I want no more of this time-wasting squabbling between certain persons. No more of it, do you understand? We've got a house to run. We must make sure that it is run efficiently.
Well, that means a little baby's got to learn to run efficiently.
Sarah?
So she can fit into your neat pattern of things. Into your lovely, well-run
Oh,
house.
Sarah, I've had quite enough of your melodramatics. You dramatise everything quite out of proportion. And since you're constantly reminding us of how you're no longer in the employ of the kitchen floor, I would be extremely grateful if you confine your dramas to the floor where they belong, the nursery floor.
Oh, you don't understand. Any of you.
And you can take that stupid look off your face, Edward.
First of all, we're going to soap you all over. Make a nice clean girl, eh? That's right. Now then, to rinse it all off. Whoops, ever so careful. There you are. Mind your head. Ooh, that's nice, isn't it? Have a little swim. That's right. Rinse it all off. You don't want to stay in too long. You get cold, won't you? Mind your head, that's it. There's a clever girl. There you are now. Oh, is that nice, eh? Now you're a pretty girl, ain't you? When you grow up, you're going to be the prettiest girl in the whole of Eton Place. Probably be a princess. Marry a prince if there's one going. She sing a little song now, eh? Warm up. London Bridge is falling down, falling down, falling down. London Bridge is falling down.
Harry, I expressly told you you would have nothing to do with that child.
It's all right, Nanny.
It is not all right. I'll have you dismissed.
But Nanny, it's
Give me
all
that
right.
baby.
Honestly,
Give me
Nanny.
that baby. Ah! You stupid, clumsy girl.
Yes. Just as well I was only practicing. If only her ladyship were home, I could tell her.
I've weighed out them raisins.
She'd listen. I could tell her, she'd understand.
Oh, fuss, fuss.
No, Mrs. Bridges, you've no idea what it's like up there.
How?
Honestly, Mrs. Bridges, I'm afraid to leave that baby alone. With her.
We won't let any harm come to baby, will we? Of course we won't. 'Cause Nanny's looked after you all, hasn't she? For nearly 50 years. There's Lady Marjorie. That's Granny. Granny. And his young lordship. And Uncle James. And then Mummy. And now baby Lucy. Oh, we want our supper, don't we? Of course we do. Must be getting late. Oh. Oh, this room is so dismal. We must have some more light on here, mustn't we? We shan't be able to see what we're doing. All right. Oh, it doesn't seem to make much difference. Gas was much more satisfactory. Now, what was I going to do? Oh, yes. Oh, if only that wretched, stupid girl would leave everything ready. If only she knew her job. That's right. Oh. It was only in odd patches at first. Just odd patches. All right, my love. Nanny's coming. Oh, there. All right, my pet. Don't you worry. No. Nanny, look. Oh, yes. There. Oh, dear, going to do your own. That's a good girl. There. There. Nanny look after you, won't she? Just as she's looked after all the rest. Yes. There. Yes, you need Nanny, don't you, my sweetie? Yes. The Nanny there. You need Nanny, don't you? That's a good girl.
Yes?
Madam?
Ah, Sarah. Sarah, come in. I feel just in the mood for a chat.
Madam?
Oh, I'm so bored up here. Now, how is everything?
Well, that's what I want to talk to you about. Everything, that is.
Good, good. I'm just in the mood to hear everything talked about.
Yes, well...
How's the baby?
The baby? The baby's fine.
Good. She's still taking her bottle all right?
Yes, well...
And you're managing better with Nanny now, I
Well,
can
not
see.
exactly. That's
Sarah,
what I want to talk to you about.
Not again. No more tales from the nursery floor, please.
They are not tales from the nursery floor, madam. They're tales concerning your baby.
Sometimes, Sarah, I find you most dreadfully sullen. Particularly when I'm in the middle of such a good book.
Oh, I'm sorry, madam. Didn't mean your baby to interfere with your good book.
Not only sullen, Sarah, but rather impertinent. Because I agreed you should help look after the baby, it doesn't follow that I agreed you should help look after me as well.
It's not that at all. It's just... I love that little baby. Like she was my own.
You mean you'd like to make her your own?
No!
Well, you can't, because she's mine. I'm sorry, Sarah, but I'm just very tired still. And I'm tired of people coming in and out of my room all day long with various stupid theories about babies and what to do with them and what not to do with them. I'm just very tired still. Perhaps you don't fully realise just how tired one feels after you've had a baby.
I know how you feel. And it's because of that that I want to make sure that little Lucy's looked after the way a baby should be looked after. Because I do know how you feel.
I'm sorry, Sarah. That was very thoughtless. I should have remembered.
Then I'll have to remember now.
Tell me what's the matter.
Well, ever so early this morning, I heard the baby crying, so I crept down to the night nursery, and I seen the baby lying there.
Got rid of all our nasty windows. We go back in our cot, shall we? Yes, of course we will. What a good baby it is. Oh. What a silly old nanny we are, aren't we? There. That's better, isn't it? Now we'll have a...
Nanny?
Oh, Elizabeth, how you
Hello,
startled
Nanny.
me. Nanny likes people to knock on the nursery door before they come in. It's essential for the avoidance of accidents. Well, coming creeping into a room like that can make something silly occur.
Sorry, Nanny.
Nursery discipline is nursery discipline, and everybody must observe it.
Yes, Nanny.
Now, once you give in to one thing, it's the foot in the door. And a nursery can go downhill faster than anything. One moment law and order, the next moment chaos.
Of course, Nanny, I understand.
Nanny would be very surprised if you do. Remembering your idea of tidiness, I should be very surprised if you had a notion of what I'm talking about.
I do understand, Nanny, really I do.
You've never been one for babies, have you, Elizabeth? Other little girls loved their dollies, but not you. You'd always be rather playing around with the dogs or clambering up trees. And every Christmas your poor father would bring you beautiful dolls, pretty as you could wish to see. But they just sat on the nursery shelf gathering dust. Complete waste of money.
Perhaps Lucy might like all my old dolls.
She might. She has no daddy to buy them for her.
Nanny,
In my opinion, it was a great pity about that business, Elizabeth. A nice young man like that, and you couldn't be happy with him.
Nanny, I did not come here to talk about...
Things aren't always what we expect.
I want to...
Now, Nanny doesn't like people standing about in the nursery gossiping, so I think it would be just as well if you were to go now, Elizabeth.
Nanny?
We must allow nothing to interfere with nursery routine. So
I
now
actually came to
run
ask...
along, dear, and Nanny will bring baby down to see you after tea.
I shall be out.
No, well, that's entirely your own affair. As I said, you were never one for playing with your dollies.
Nice to see you back, my lady. Sir?
Must be bored stiff of saying that, Hodson.
Sir?
Up and down to the country like I don't know what. Jack in the box.
How's everyone, Hodson? The baby? How's little Lucy?
Mamma,
Oh, hello, darling.
I must speak to you at once.
You look so much better. Doesn't she look better, Richard? I'm nearly so tired. Now,
Mamma, I have to speak to you. It's a matter of great urgency, really.
Don't bother to inquire after your poor old grandfather, will you? You might be in danger of seeming concerned.
I'm sorry, Papa. How is he?
A little better, but still very ill. What's the matter, darling?
Do we have to talk about in the hall? Let's go inside.
What is this matter of great urgency?
It's Nanny and the baby.
Nanny and the... My dear, I'm sure you'll quite understand if I retire to the club at this moment. I'll be back in time for dinner.
Mamma...
Now, calm yourself, darling, and sit down.
I didn't believe Sarah at first, but I do now.
Didn't believe Sarah about what?
About Nanny. You see, Sarah came to me and said that Nanny wasn't suitable, that she was too old to look after a baby, and naturally at first I thought...
But she was jealous.
Exactly. But I believe her now because I've seen it for myself.
Darling.
Mamma, she can't even carry the baby properly without bumping into things. I can't think why she doesn't wear spectacles.
She'd never admit to needing them.
The other night, she fell asleep with the baby in her arms, and Sarah found her almost suffocating her.
Nanny's always been so reliable. I just can't believe this.
You'll have to send her back to Southwold. She's not fit to look after a baby, and she's too old to be told.
You tried telling her, did you?
Yes.
Remembering your relationship with her, that must have been a somewhat difficult task.
She won't be told anything, least of all by me. Now, Elizabeth, you know what you're like, and you never did like dolls. As if that had anything to do with it.
I'll speak to her.
Yes, but speak to Sarah as well. You must hear what she has to say.
I intend to hear what they both have to say.
She'll see you now, Nanny.
Come in, Nanny, dear.
Now, Nanny has a host of things to do in the nursery, my
Never
lady.
mind about them. Come and sit down next to me. Now, you like your coffee nice and sweet, don't you?
I've very little time for sitting about gossiping.
I know. But I've hardly had time to talk to you since you arrived. So I do feel a bit guilty. Especially as there seem to have been one or two unforeseen difficulties.
Difficulties?
Yes, I hadn't realized there'd be quite so many complications.
That young girl, that's Sarah. She's the only complication. With a head full of fiddle-faddle. She'd be the bane of any nursery.
Yes, it must be a great strain for you.
Great strain, indeed.
Well, for someone like you to have to cope with all these extra complications.
I'd be all right if I could be left alone to get on with my work. If I could just be left in peace.
Nanny, dear, you see, I was afraid of this, of it proving too much for you. It was grossly unfair of me to drag you out of retirement without explaining properly that I only wanted you to supervise, as it were.
Supervise?
Not to feel you had to run the whole...
Supervise? I've been a nanny all my life, not a supervisor, whatever that may be. I nannied you when I was hardly more than a girl.
Yes.
You were always beautiful. The best of all my babies. Oh, fiddly little china you have nowadays. There's nothing substantial in this house.
It was a wedding present, Nanny. Don't you remember it? From Lord and Lady Salisbury.
Oh.
Which reminds me, James sent this from India for Lucy's christening. A little late, I'm afraid.
What? Oh, there. What is it?
It's a teething ring, isn't it?
Teething ring?
There. You can take it up to her, can't you?
Very well, my lady.
It is going to be too much for you, isn't it, Nanny? With the stairs and everything. And you see, we do really need someone who's a little stronger.
But, Lady Margie...
Now, Nanny, I know that you'd soldier on without saying a word, and I blame myself entirely for not considering all the problems, especially the stairs.
You've been listening to tittle-tattle, child.
It was thoughtless of me to say the least to expect you to manage those, on top of everything else.
Everything... Yes, the stairs, I'm afraid, are a little much for me. Of course, nursery maids are the worst sort of gossip I know. We had one at Southwold. Oh.
I passed your cottage when I was at Southwold. It's so pretty. And so convenient for you to share with Miss Baines.
That Miss Baines is an extremely untidy old woman.
And the roses are so lovely at this time of year. So, thank you, Nanny.
Well,
and, of course, I'll make all the necessary arrangements.
Yes. Yes. Of course, it is the stairs more than anything. But the baby needs me.
Oh, I'll bring Lucy to see you. We'll all come and see you. You were never clumsy.
No.
We'll come and see you.
You've got your corsets off again.
Nanny.
Are you coming upstairs, madam?
Upstairs? What for?
To have tea with us. Me and Lucy.
Yes. All right.
Goodbye, my pet.
Goodbye, Nanny.
I trust you'll have a pleasant journey back, Nanny.
Thank you, Hudson. I'm glad to say I've always been a good traveller. Always.